competent communicator? Do you want to be more competent at communicating your ideas when you speak to others? Whether it's a sales presentation, whether it's at work with customers, fellow employees, or your boss, or you want to give public speaking presentations, speeches, you want to get better. You want to be a competent communicator. Do you want to be competent? Well, Toastmasters has the solution and makes it possible for you to indeed become a competent communicator. Now, for those of you who have already become a Toastmaster member, you know that you have a manual called the Competent Communicator. For those of you who are interested in joining Toastmasters, one of the things you will get when you first join is a kit with 2 manuals, and one of those manuals is this manual, the Competent Communicator Manual. And this manual has 10 speech projects. Now, sometimes when someone first joins, they think, 10 speeches? Are you kidding me? I'm going to be here forever, and I'm never going to be able to get through 10. 10? Well, I want to give you a little insight that I gained from my experience. When I first joined Toastmasters, I joined 2 clubs actually, and I took advantage of the smallness of numbers in the membership of that club, of both of those clubs, and I gave a speech at every single meeting. And I accomplished and went through all 10 speeches in 3 months. I got my Competent Communicator. Now, I know I've been often teased, that's Mark speed, and not everybody does Mark speed, and that's fine. Everybody goes at their own pace. But by doing that, I got an insight that's not going to be usually available to someone who does a speech once a month, or every 2 months, or every 3 months. And I want to share the insight for you so that you can still have the benefit of that. And that is the insight from doing it that quickly allowed me to see the totality of the 10 speeches and see the big picture of how they all come together and why it helps you become a competent communicator. Don't think of it as 10 speeches. Really, what these projects are 4 segments. And each of these segments build upon each other. And it really can be broken down to 4 words. Build, tweak, tool, connect. And each one leads to the next. So that's where our 10 speeches are done through these 4 segments. And I'm going to walk us through each of these segments. The first is build your speeches. We first learn how to build your speeches. And the first one is your icebreaker. Now, the reason why it's called the icebreaker is it's your opportunity to introduce yourself to the club and really to get used. You can come up with your notes. You can, if you need to hug that lectern, you go right ahead. You do whatever you need to do. Because if you won't even do that to build your speech, then teaching you the rest really doesn't matter. You've got to, first, you just got to get up and do it. And so the icebreaker is the shorter speech. It's 4 to 6 minutes. And now the way the timing lights work on that, when we say 4 to 6, what that means is we'll give you a green light at 4 and we'll give you a red light at 6, which means the yellow light is in the middle at 5 minutes. So all you really have to do is go for green. Go for the green. You get to 4 minutes, you're good. So that's really, don't psych yourself out. You can do a 4-minute speech. So you come to do a 4 to 6 minute speech to introduce yourself, and it doesn't matter how you go about it, because it's about building that speech for the first time anyway, and just doing it. And then once you've done it, you ask, I can do this? And then you're ready for the second project. And the second project is organize your topic. And this will lay a foundation for most of the speeches that will follow you thereafter, and how you build your speeches. There is a mantra that you will hear us say at Toastmasters repeatedly. And that's when you're building a speech, first you tell them what you're going to tell them, then you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them. And so the concept is much like building the essays we had to build in college, where you build 3 subpoints. And so those are the 3 subpoints of the body of your speech. And so the introduction, you say, I'm going to talk about these 3 subpoints. Then you talk about the 3 subpoints. And then you say, this is the 3 subpoints I just told you. And so that you learn how to structure and create an organization of your speech. And so after you've done the icebreaker, the second project is organize your topic. And these speeches now are 5 to 7 minutes. And so you want to do what I call do the math. So you figure if your body is the middle, then you choose 3 or 4. We'll just say 3. Then choose 90 seconds for one subtopic, 90 seconds for another, and 90 for another. There's 4.5 minutes. Put a 30-second introduction, a 30-second conclusion. There's 5.5 minutes. Boom! You organized your speech. And this can become a structure for all the speeches you do going forward. And so that builds your speech. You learn how to build your speeches. Then you move on to the third project. And the third project is get to the point. Now there are 2 purposes for your speeches. First is your general purpose, and then you have a specific purpose. The general purpose answers one of 4 questions, and that is the speech to inform, to persuade, to entertain, or to inspire? Or perhaps it's a combination of any of these. But that's your general purpose. Once you know it's one of these 4 things or a combination, then you choose your specific purpose. What is the point? It's sort of your mission statement that after your speech is done, what will the audience walk away knowing? So you have a specific point. And that's your general purpose, and your specific purpose help you organize and help you build your speech, because now you've gotten to the point. And there you did. You got through the first 3 speeches, the first segment of building your speech. And now you're ready to move on to the second segment. And the second segment is tweak. Now you know how to build it, now you want to tweak it. And you tweak it with words, body, and voice. So project 4 is how to say it. And that is using words, crafting words, using tools like alliteration. What works well when working with words? And other alliterations that might sound silly but help the audience remember a point that you're trying to communicate. Or perhaps a metaphor. Adding a metaphor to a speech is like watering your garden even though it rained the day before. It's still very good, and it's all good. Now, for those who will say that metaphor is a simile, well, I looked it up. A simile is a metaphor, so you don't have to catch me on that. And anyway, by the way, I gave you a metaphor on using a metaphor. The point is that project teaches you how to say it and using words, crafting words as you tweak your speech. And then you move on to your body speaks, project 5, where you learn to use gestures and your body language and using your hands to develop visuals and various things, learning to use your body. And when you've done that, that's project 5. Congratulations! You just halfway made it. You're halfway there to CC. And I just used a body gesture in demonstrating that congratulations. And these are the types of things that you learn to do for that particular project. And then project 6 you're ready for, and that is vocal variety, where you may choose to speak up a little more quickly, more faster, or a little louder, or maybe it's a moment where you need to talk a little more subtly and slowly. Or you learn to build up, get up, and you get louder and louder, and you finally say stop! And use a purposeful pause, because you want to emphasize a point. Learning to use your voice and variety to emphasize your points. And so that's what project 6 is about. And so congratulations, you've made it through the second segment, learning how to tweak your speeches. By this point, you've learned how to build, and you've learned how to tweak your speeches. And then you're ready for the next segment. The next segment is tool, or to use tools, or to equip your speeches. And that brings you to project 7, which is research your topic, where you learn how to use statistics and research and sources from other extra material that you find, and how to cite them and provide them in your speeches. And so learning how to tool and equip your speeches. And then you're ready for the next project, which is get comfortable with visual aids, where you learn to get comfortable holding materials up and not being distracted or making mistakes like this, holding it up, getting comfortable with doing that, or perhaps doing a PowerPoint behind you and learning not to be a screen reader, but rather to talk and let that just emphasize what you're saying. Learning the skill of using visual aids. And so again, congratulations, you've made it through the third segment. By this point, you've learned how to build your speeches, how to tweak your speeches, and how to tool your speeches. And now you're really ready segment 4, connect. How to connect with your audiences. And the first one is persuade with power, where you learn how to make an intellectual connection with the audience. To persuade them, not what you want them to tell them to do, but rather that it's in their own interest and connecting with them. And so that they want to do that because it's in their interest. So you learn how to persuade with power. And then you're finally ready for the big one of all. And this last speech is 8 to 10 minutes. And it's inspire your audience, where you take that intellectual connection and add the emotional and heart connection and inspire your audience to an action. And you create that bond that is not just in their interest, but it's something that they're motivated and inspired and wanting to do. And you learn how to do that. And so you have learned how to connect. And there you are. You've gone through all 4 of the segments. You learn how to build your speeches. And you learn how to tweak your speeches. You learn how to tool them. And you learned how to connect with your audiences. And congratulations, you've done it. You're a competent communicator. And that's what Toastmasters helps us do. That's why if you're just starting as a Toastmaster and you're contemplating doing the CC manual, do a speech at least once a month. Take the opportunity to build upon building upon building and going through these systems. And if you're thinking about joining us, why do you want to be a Toastmaster? It really comes down to the question. Do you want to be a competent communicator?